philosophy of the program and really what we're trying to achieve. Obviously, there's a lot of content on the website, so there's no real need for me to go through much detail with respect to the individual modules. So I think what I really want to emphasize is what we're trying to achieve, the type of program it is, and the type of person it's appropriate for, and kind of contextual issues around doing an MBA. So anyway, to give you a background, you know, we have a very clearly well articulated mission in the business school as to what it is we're trying to achieve, and take it very seriously through our teaching, our research, and our engagement with industry. And really an overall kind of purpose of the university is to contribute to society. And so all our programs would very much have that as a vehicle, if you like, for achieving that end across the university. So as my colleague Sarah just said, we have double accreditation, which is a very important kite mark for MBAs. So our AA CSB, only ourselves and UCD actually have that recognition in the country. And we were awarded that in 2016. It was actually only re-accredited last year, our business school, for the next 5 years. So I guess the thing with these kite marks is it means that you can have confidence really in the quality of the program that you would be attending, and the regard with which it is held then globally. So that's an important consideration. So these were our pillars, if you like, of the Executive MBA. It's about inspiring future leaders. And really what we mean by that is there's a major emphasis on becoming self-aware of yourselves as leaders. Second pillar is transforming organizations. And so what we mean by that is really encouraging an analytic framework, a capacity to critique content, to make good judgments with respect to that content. Our third pillar is about engaging the enterprise, and there's a huge focus on the application of all the content that you're exposed to across the MBA and applying it to your organization. And then our fourth pillar is influencing business in society. And what we really mean by that is encouraging participants, for example, to take a very ethical approach to business and to consider ethical issues across the organization with respect to its purpose, really. So we do bleed these pillars into the content of the MBA across all its different modules. And so just to, I suppose, extract a couple of key features, we take a very holistic approach to learning, you know, so we operate on the adult learning model. It's not a question of the professor standing at the top of the room and the students taking down all the content. It's a highly interactive context, very much recognizing that we're all co-learners in this, you know, and all equal contributors to it, obviously. So highly interactive processes, a huge focus on individual leadership development over the course of the 2 years. And as I said, the assignments are, or our approach is very much the application of learning. So that means the assignments that are set over the course of the 2 years would strongly emphasize this element of recognizing the issues in your own organization and using those as vehicles for the completion of various different assignments across the different modules. Another set of key features is our delivery. So our faculty are national and international, and actually a good blend of academics and practitioners, which is really essential when you're delivering a program such as the Executive MBA. We recognize the need to support excellence of knowledge with excellence of practice. And certainly, as I said, the very much practical relevance with respect to the material. But more than that, you actually attend 2 different periods of time. One is the domestic industry engagement, and the second is the international residency week, whereby you visit companies. So, for example, the international residency week, the year before last, because obviously COVID knocked it on the head last year, involved a trip to London and Berlin. It was a 2-center trip. Previous years have involved trips to Hong Kong, to Boston, to Silicon Valley. And that's a week long, and that is compulsory. Where it will take place varies every year, and obviously we're setting that up in the light of COVID restrictions now. The domestic industry engagement is a weekend somewhere in Ireland. We've gone to various different places. Belfast was the last trip, although that's not in Ireland anymore. It's in the UK, or in relation to not being in the EU. So these are full-on residential components that are essential to attend. But the purpose is to meet other industries and to discuss their strategy, their evolution, their financial model, you know, so they're guided trips to visit various different companies in different settings, and highly valuable also as an opportunity for network building. The strategic consultancy project is another opportunity to have enormous relevance for the work that you're doing on the MBA to your company, because it involves actually exploring a live business challenge in an organization and operating within your team as actually a team of consultants to that organization, and delivering a serious report to the management of that organization with respect to addressing the challenge at hand. So very hands-on program. And then obviously network development is a huge thing. And a lot of times people will say it's the biggest takeaway from the MBA, the richness of the network that they develop, not just within the class and the amount of interaction and engagement that takes place within the class and between the 2 years of the program, but also through various different events that we run over the course of the 2 years as well. So this is the program now. As I said, this is all clearly explained online for further details. But what you see here is the classic content of an international MBA program in any major university worldwide. So we start off in year one with management fundamentals. So the basic building blocks of understanding the management function and its rollout. And so, for example, you do a module on accounting for decision-making, marketing, organizational behavior in semester one. Semester two, economics, managing people, and so that's HR, business and business strategy, so devising strategy for your business. So also in semester one of year one, the personal leadership development module kicks off, and that runs over the 2 years. So that involves doing quite an in-depth analysis of your own personal leadership skills, identifying possible gaps that you would regard as in need of development, and plotting a development plan over the course of the 2 years. And that's guided over the course of 2 years also. And then in semester two, the strategic consultancy project and data analytics module kicks off the 2-year project, which is what I just explained about the live business challenge in an organization, and your exploration and identification of recommendations to resolve it, and presenting that back to the management. And then in semester two of year one, you have the enterprise engagement, which is the weekend away. So these we regard as the basics of the management function in year one. And then in year two, we up that to consider management in a very cross-functional capacity. So semester three, which is semester one of year two, our topics include innovation and entrepreneurship, business finance and strategic operations. And semester four, which is the second semester of year two, technology management, strategy, leadership and transformation. And then the week away, which is the enterprise engagement. The modules that I've asterisked there, so business finance in year two, accounting for decision-making and business economics in year one, they are the ones that are assessed via exams. The rest of the modules are largely assessed through continuous assessment. And that would include things like group work, maybe doing a group assignment, a group presentation, a case study analysis, or an individual assignment over the course of the module as well. But generally speaking, there are only 3 exams, 3 formal end of module exams across the 2 years. So that is the content, and here's the schedule. Now, obviously, I'm sure the first question you're going to have is, will it be online or will it be in person? This year, it was all done online, and happily quite successfully too. Obviously, DCU is well set up to deliver content online. We've been running online programs for years, but I would say it's more a blended learning in that the classes still run according to this schedule, and they're live as opposed to things being recorded. How it will be in September, we would hope, like the rest of us, that life will somewhat have returned to normal and we'll be able to be in person. But really, we're not in a position to confirm that just yet, no more than anybody else able to look too far forward. But as it stands, our time will be the same, Thursdays 2 until 9. Now, there will be some Saturdays. When I say some, I mean maybe 2 per semester. These are well flagged in advance. We kick off the year with an induction week, and that's very important because you do a lot of work in a team. And so you're put into a team in year 1, and then you switch teams in year 2, except for the strategic consultancy project, whereby you stay in the same team from year 1 to year 2 because it's a 2-year-long project. And so we spend a lot of time ensuring that people who have joined the program are comfortable with each other, know each other, understand what's expected of them, introduced to the ethos of the program a little bit more. So we do an induction program prior to the commencement of the formal academic content delivery. And then semester 1 starts in late September until mid-December, and exams are normally early to mid-January for semester 1. And then we kick off again with semester 2 towards mid to late January, running through until late April, with exams in May. So in June and in August, in year 1 and year 2, there are some classes, and they essentially refer to the strategic consultancy project. But when I say some classes, I mean 2 days possibly. And again, that's well flagged in advance. The entry requirements, so this is just something to talk about quite a bit, I guess. We do stipulate that you, at minimum, need a 2-2 degree or equivalent, plus at least 3 years management experience. Now, in reality, most attendees on the program would have about 7 years management experience, not work experience. So the average age, I don't think you'll mind me saying this, May, the average age of the class is mid-30s, I would say, plus. Sometimes there are younger people in the class, and it really depends on what the contribution is that you have to make to the learning environment. So we do make exceptions. And it is also the case that not everybody does have a 2-2 degree, but they will have years of comparable experience. So where you are a non-standard applicant, myself and my colleagues would review your application carefully and consider whether or not what you have is going to enrich the learning environment. And so there is some flexibility around entry requirements, but this is for advanced managers. This is for people well into their career. It is not for people with 2 or 3 years work experience at all. And we have a responsibility to maintain those criteria so that it's a really rich learning environment, and that so that everybody who's on the program really has an adequate and equal but different contribution to make to the classroom. The other thing I would say is there is maybe, I would say, no fabulous time to do an MBA, but there certainly are better times over worse times. And so while the classes are from 2 until 9 on a Thursday, and everybody clearly gets their employer sign off to be not in the office on those times, not that the day job is ever reduced in demand, but I would actually be saying, think about your own personal circumstances and whether or not it really is something that you can fit in. An MBA is not a bolt-on activity. It really demands that you have identified time in your diary when it can be done. Otherwise, it is never going to deliver what it is you will have invested in or hoped for. So the reality is that doing an MBA requires the classroom attendance, either remotely or in person. And I would say to be thinking in terms of having to take the books out most weekends. So I'd be saying you need to be thinking about another 6 to 9 hours of work per week. Now, not every week and sometimes more, but you're not going to get an MBA done with a little bit of work here and a little bit of work there. So you really have to have an agreement in your personal life with those in your personal life that you are unavailable to participate in activities, given that you're going to have to commit to doing this program. So I'd make that very clear. And then I suppose to talk to you about the type of people in the room, very wide variety of backgrounds. The typical MBA student tends to have a technical degree of some kind and now is looking at promotion and recognizes they need business knowledge on top of that technical expertise. So the technical expertise can be anything from medicine, like me, or engineering, accountancy, pharma, tech. Certainly have some entrepreneurs on the program, public sector, private sector. It's really very broad, and we purposefully seek that out in our applicants in order to, as I was saying, ensure that it's a very rich learning environment, because a large part of the learning rests on the engagement with the content of the participants. And so where you have participants from very diverse backgrounds, it really contributes enormously to contextual knowledge concerning the application of content to the business environment. So that's the entry requirements, and obviously you apply online. There's a completely online system, and so when an application is complete, I receive notification of that, and I'm receiving applications as we speak. We only take 30 in the class, absolute maximum, and really stick to that. And the rationale behind that, again, is because it's a highly interactive environment, and it's just not possible to have any kind of meaningful discussions between the participants if it's bigger than that. So our cutoff date, I think it's September, but once we hit the number, we're going to close it. So if you are interested, I would suggest, if you know you're interested and you have the time and you have the support of people around you, I would encourage you to apply sooner rather than later. So what I'd really like to do is introduce Dr. May Tan, who was class of 2020, who's kindly given us some of her very precious time to just share her experience of the program, and then we can come back to me and I'll take any questions that you have then. So without further ado, I'll hand over to you, May. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Verona, for asking me to join you guys. I must say, being honest, right? When I first applied, the first thing I was taught that I probably might not get it because I have a medicine background. So, but I must say also with a lot of hard work and also interest, I managed to get into the program. And you know what? I never look back in a really good terms, because it teach me so much. What does medicine doctor knows about business? Nothing. Every single topic that was listed by Verona there, oh my God, I'm there thinking, sweating. What do I know about accountancy? Nothing. What do I know about business strategy? Nothing. So, but I do know about management slightly, because my job, in a sense, was looking after 61 big, huge tier one corporates that has over 1,000 people. So, you know, when you go into a corporate world and you say that you understand their business, it's just kind of muddle around thinking that, do you really now? Because you're a physician, you're not really a business person. So having this MBA degree has a massive influence, and also huge acknowledgement, not so much for the business people to kind of acknowledge me, is for myself, really. Because now I do know, I understand that when they say that this can be done, I totally understand the process, why it couldn't be done. So do I learn a lot? Massive. Do I still learning? Yes. Networking, huge. I'm talking about friends that is in your class, friends that's in your group. You have them for life. We have so much crack. I'm not talking about the white powder. I'm talking about the fun bit. You know, in every single engagement, even though it's 2 to 9, you'd be thinking is long hours. Okay, fair enough. You might be at home or you might be in a class. That depends on, you know, government, obviously, protocol at some point. But I guarantee you, all successful program, it also depends on you. If you do not interact with the lecturers, you do not interact with your class, with your classmates, you're not going to get a lot out of it. Our class actually interacts a lot. Every single topics, not to say that we prep it, but we have a lot to say in it. And not just that we have a lot to say in it, we also contribute in a different way. We bring it back to our daily problems. We bring it back to our things that we encounter, and we discuss it through. So instead of one person solving problems, you have 23 others to 27 others helping you to go through that. Okay. So it is pretty much applied learning, like Marona says. So I learned accountancy, which I have no background on. And you go in there, you go to your company, you kind of compare what kind of accountancy process they use, and then you come back and then you apply it. So it's actually quite good because it's not something you just have to memorize by heart, but you actually apply on your day-to-day job. And now if I go into a program settings with a third party involving supplying a particular program for a client, I'd be able to now haggle properly and kind of work out, what are the costs incurred, etc. So it is extremely important. And not just that as well. Your teammates carry you through. You might have the weakest link in particular subjects, but other teammates can actually carry you through that. So obviously I have a lot of teammates that carry me through, because all those subjects that I have learned throughout might not actually day to day that what I do most of the time. However, I must say, during the part where they do the SPSS, which is your evidence base, where you have a lot of data, I carry them through because that is part of research that doctors would know about. Also, one thing as well, that readings, Verona tell you that how many hours that you put into reading certain things that was given to you. That is a lot of reading, guys. But I also can say this to you, for doctors, we used to learn how to read journals. So it's very quick glance of what. So that's another process that you'll be able to bring it back to your colleague and just go, look, if I were you, conclusion first. Conclusion you don't understand, then you go back to read the whole entire paper. If you understand what the conclusion means, reading the whole entire paper is not really going to, kind of contribute that much for you, unless you want to know the process, how they get here or how they get there. The time where you go to enterprise engagement, whether is it local or international, we went to Hong Kong and Shenzhen. We have so much fun. We get to learn so much things going on. And especially in Hong Kong, and I suppose that I come from a Chinese-based culture, I'm Malaysian. So I understand also the cultural aspect of dealing business. So for example, by default, in Western world, your business is very pretty much individualizations or unitarism, you call it, where you automatically trust people unless somebody cross you, then you distrust them. In a Chinese or Asian world, it's actually completely different. It's opposite. It's distrust to start off with. So once you make them trust you, you're like part of a family, and doing business is actually walk in the park then. So I'd be able to contribute that bit of that cultural aspects that bring to it. So now you just see it's not just education. You actually learn way beyond education. And if you ask me, you'll be thinking, well, okay, pulling out your head, where do I find those time? I guarantee you there is no right or wrong time, to be honest. It's all about how you handle your schedule. If you know me in LinkedIn, you will see there's thousands of things I do. I work practically 7 days a week, a lot of long hours, nothing to do with hospital work, but things where people call work, I call it hobby. So I love a lot of stuff going on. And yet I'm a single mom with 2 kids, young kids, okay? And I still can get an MBA. So it's just about, if you have a family who can support you, great. I don't have all these, but I still manage to get through it. It's all down to how you plan your time, how you dedicate certain things, okay? How you do it smartly rather than, going all around the bush and then obviously create a lot of stress for yourself. And bear in mind that I'm here to help. If anybody wants to reach out with me and ask me certain things, now, I might not be able to kind of do your project for you or do assignment for you, but I can tell you like where to dig stuff, where to go to. Networking is huge here, because that a lot of people that you think is 7 degrees separation, in fact, they're 1 degree away. They're not 7 degrees at all. So it is really interesting, and I'm not getting paid by here sitting here to tell you all good stuff about DCU, and the MBA. But this is the truth. This is my experience, and if I could sing and write a book for it, I would, because currently, for anything at all, I am actually creating a platform, launching a platform for MedTech, so that innovation and the enterprise, the innovation module help you through that. It's just like a Dragon's Den thing. It's very exciting. It's very interesting. So you test your model to see whether it works or not. It makes you think. And it's not just thinking in a sense of, where you learn and you think. It's thinking outside actually the box. And for me, there is no box at all. So I constantly thinking where it could be applied in a different way. I use all the subjects that was taught by DCU in this MBA program to help me advance in every single step, and currently still advancing very far. So if you ask me, is it worth it? Yes, totally. Did I look back and say, oh my God, I could have done that 2 years for ABC? No, I didn't. I guarantee you, if I did not do it, I will be really regretful of not doing it.
Thank you so much. Well, now there's inspiration for everybody, I think. And it's great to hear it from the horse's mouths, a recent graduate. And I think as well, May, something just to lead on, nobody ever says they regretted doing it. Like people, the time flies. It is unbelievable how fast it goes. And people in second year cannot believe they're in second year, cannot believe they're in the second semester of second year, and wonder what they will do with all their time, because their MBA will be gone in a while. But no matter how difficult it is, nobody has ever regretted doing it. Now, I would say also that, as May said, there is a lot of content. There's no question about that. But in terms of difficulty, it's achievable by everybody. There are some modules, like, for example, the economics or the accounting modules that, and finance, or the finance modules, that have been known to give a few challenges here and there to students. But otherwise, the material is not particularly difficult. And obviously, it's at the same standard as world-class MBAs, but there just is a lot of it. And so readings will be pre-assigned by faculty in advance of each class. Well, some professors do it slightly differently. The more you read, the more you get out of the classroom interaction. That's what that's about. Whether or not people are checked up on is completely, that just doesn't apply, because we're operating, as I said, on an adult learning model. But the more you read, the richer the experience. But the time that's required to read is a lot. So that is the thing,
Yeah, I add on as well, the lectures are all extremely approachable. If you don't ask, you don't know. So anything you're not sure about, just send them an email. They reply extremely quickly. You're not sure about something. If you're not, you still don't get it. They have no issues going through and through and through with you again and again. And certain topics like accountancy, like I'm terrible at, together with the finance. If I can do quite well on that, you guys should be able to. They also have like extra things that you go on to YouTube or something to learn. So there are loads of a pathway of, certain lecturers will go through with you and also give you extra attention, but make sure that you kind of approach them. If you don't approach them, they won't know how you do, you see. Then this last minute, when it comes to exam and assessment, it's kind of too late. So at the beginning of any course at all, is any doubt that you go through, just give them a shout. They're there to help you. They're not there to fail you. They're actually there to help you.
Oh,
So
for sure.
yeah. And I gain a lot by constantly asking certain questions, how could you get there? And they show the steps all the way. So we all collectively work together, not just as a team of, groups that you're going to be assigned with, but it's also the whole entire class. And, even class level or not, some of your friends might be able to help you. And then if not, then your lecture is always there. As I said, don't be afraid to ask anybody. I never have any issue to put out my hand and say, like, I don't understand this. Could you explain that again? Or they will say that, look, instead of, can we take this all offline, etc. So it's actually quite good. So it's not like, certain lectures never get back to you. I don't know about the rest of it, but I can assure you all the lectures we have, has been extremely helpful, and they want you to do well. I'm just going to share my email with you guys. This is my work email. So if you have any questions that you want to talk to me, get in touch with me. I'm more than happy to help that journey. I want to share my journey with you. So, I'm pretty sure
that's very generous of you, May. Thank you so much.
Oh, pleasure. Pleasure is all mine.
Okay, so the floor is open.